that bad out there, but apparently roads are shut down and things are running around. Yeah, I know Shaq's going to talk about it, but there's got to be a huge push for Super Saturday tomorrow, getting people out. For those of you guys, we'll let people know who's going to be speaking, make sure that you're very well prepared. You know, events are everything in Primerica, and if you prepare properly and you put on good events, you're supposed to grow from event to event. And people make decisions at events. And I know that sometimes, I don't recommend inviting cold new people and putting them into Super Saturday. Okay, so I understand that, but there is a lot of value psychologically when people, let's say maybe they were thinking there was going to be a licensing class. Let's say that you've met them a couple times, you wanted them to see my orientation. And I get all of that. There's value to that as well. But seeing other people succeed, hearing other people's stories, seeing a bigger group than normal, it can build belief that can get people to stick a little bit longer. You know what I mean? Because what happens is we want to get a new recruit started, and then we want to end up with them as field trainers, but there's cracks in the pipe and people fall through the cracks. Does that make sense? And what gets them to continue going is more belief. It's not life insurance material, And yeah, my opportunity meeting gives them some belief and stuff like that, but I present a different level of confidence. I've been here for a long time. Like I said last time on Tuesday, sometimes hearing from somebody like a Tara or a brand new person or someone who's been in a little bit less time, it's going to resonate more with them, okay? So, how'd it go last night? Heard you got a couple directs, that was good? Right? A lot of you guys had a good night last night. You got a direct, right? You got a couple things yesterday? You got a couple things? Anybody else score yesterday? Right, what'd you get? You got a direct, right? And then you got a sale, which is great. Who else? Sale? Right, you said you're going to do 10 by 10 this month? 10 by 10. There you go. So, 2 sales? 3 sales? Wow. What were you going for, district? What were you going for? District. Yeah, you got it?
Yeah, man.
So Shaq's going to talk about that when he comes in. He's having a little meeting real quick, so he'll be right in. He's going to talk about the ladder of leadership, which Dante and I, we redesigned it, but we did. And we're going to show you that poster today. So people should have a good visual of what it takes to go from, rep all the way to regional vice president. When I was growing up in Primerica, they had a poster that you could buy on POL, and everybody bought that poster. And it was called the Ladder of Leadership. It was this big. You could get it for $1.75, and it would show you from rep, senior rep, district, division, regional leader, and then regional vice president, what all the requirements were. And then it would go to SNSD, all the way up to SNSD. So SVP, NSD, SNSD, and talk about all the requirements. What started to happen was people were saying, hey, we don't want to use the company's requirements. This is our own business. We want to determine what the requirement's going to be for our own business. So then they got rid of that because they said everyone's going to have their own requirements. We don't want to impose requirements on people. So now they don't have that anymore. But that was a great tool for me as a young guy growing up to be able to see that picture. It was on my wall. It was in my office. To look at, just to dream about what those next levels are going to be and have that picture in my mind. And that's probably why within a year and a half, I did the numbers that were required to go regional vice president. I didn't go regional vice president, but I did it because I was aware of it, So why I'm talking about this, Shaq's going to talk about that when he comes up, but going district is important because district is the building block of becoming a regional vice president, right? You become a district, and then after that, you build district leaders. That's what it's about. And people that, intelligent people understand this. The reason I even made Dante make that poster was because a recruit of mine asked me, hey, can I see a chart that shows from the bottom to the top, how do I get to where I need to go, and I want to see a good visual, and I want to put it on my fridge. And I thought to myself, why don't we all have that on our fridge, you know? What stupid stuff do we have on our fridge right now? What dumb stuff do we have, you know, on your walls and stuff like that? And even corny stuff like success posters and quotes, like who cares about that stuff, man? You should have a poster up that shows you how you're gonna freaking become a regional vice president, how you're gonna become an owner. You know what I mean? A different type of vision, something more clear, something more relevant than a random success quote somebody climbing the mountain or whatever. So, I'm very excited about that coming out. And another thing that girl said, hopefully she'll be here tomorrow, you guys can meet her. She said, well, how do you get to these different levels? And I said, well, it's all built on district leaders. So my goal is to get you to district leaders, then you teach other people how to get to district leaders. She goes, okay, so it makes sense. Through helping other people grow, then you grow. You're not just riding them to the top, you know? And I said, that's exactly right. So Shaq will talk more about that. Today, I have a training where what I did last night was I was going through my emails and pictures and files of different documents that I picked up when I was in the field. And I want to show you how I interpret different documents to close sales, how I explain them. It may be helpful to you. It'll teach you a little bit about how to read universal life contracts, universal life statements, group life statements, how to read the fine print. For some reason, lucky for me, I've come to enjoy reading these stupid contracts. You know, it's very dry, it's very boring, it's written by attorneys, but I know just how exciting it is when you find a gotcha, right? You guys know what a gotcha is, right? Where people think they have something that's like, gotcha, it's not exactly what you thought. So what we're doing is we're always looking for the gotchas. And I tell clients when they ask me what I do, out of everything else, I say I also specialize in reading the fine print. And that makes people think, because everything has fine print. What's in it? Have you read it? You know, do you understand it? Hey, Mr. and Mrs. Client, this is a 60-page document, your life insurance policy. Have you ever read it? Do you think there's anything in here that does not pertain to you, or do you think it all pertains to you? So would it make sense to have someone read it on your behalf and make sure you understand everything that's in it? And what I want to do today is I want to read through your contract. Maybe I can take this with me and bring it back, and I just want to show you what it says and just make sure that you agree with everything that's in your contract. Isn't that better than saying, you know, you may be getting screwed and this and that? People get defensive. So it's like, hey, maybe you do agree. And hey, some people do keep their whole life insurance. Some people do keep their universal life. It's not smart, but maybe they do agree with the things in their contract. So all we're trying to do is make people aware of what's in their contract, and we want to make them aware of it and then just see if they agree with it. But that's one of the things that we do. So we'll bring up some of these documents. You have them all?
Yep.
Here you go. We'll bring up some of these documents. We'll look at them, and then we can see how I would explain it. Have we met, sir? What's your name?
Ray.
Ray?
Yep.
Nice to meet you, Ray. Who else is that today?
Lauren.
Lauren? All right, so this is, I got a referral. So you guys know I lecture at, personal finance class at different colleges. So one of my teachers referred me to a client, one of the professors that I speak for. And this couple, the husband worked for Microsoft, the wife worked for Amazon, right? And so some of them, they need private insurance because they only have group insurance. So they sent me their group insurance document from Amazon, which is a large employer in the area and obviously in the country and the most successful company right now in America. So let's read what their document says, okay? So within 30 days, starting on the date of hire, we understand that, status change, we get that, right? Open enrollment, you can increase. Accidental death and dismemberment is always guaranteed because it's trash, right? So let's look at this. What do we say about group life insurance? Is that the number one problem with it, outside of that you don't own it and all that you guys say in the presentation, is that it's not portable. It's not portable, okay? Now, some companies do have a policy that is portable. So there is some portability sometimes. Usually you just lose it. if it is portable, it's going to have something in here, right? So in their contract that you can read. So let's see what it says. If you are under the age of 70 and you leave your employer due to any reason other than disability, you may continue your current level of supplemental term life coverage. Okay? What if you do leave due to a disability? What happens to your insurance? Right? So you get sick, you're not able to go to work. That means that there's some type of disability. They have to let you go because it's a business. They don't keep people on the payroll for years at a time. And they're saying, if you're on disability, you are not allowed to continue your coverage. You can't port it over into something else. Does everybody die of sudden death, or do some people, unfortunately, have long-term illnesses?
Long-term illness.
Would it make sense to have a policy that covered all the scenarios? Okay. So let's say that you may continue your current level of supplemental term life coverage up to $300,000. Is that a lot of coverage? I think Susie Orman, I read in her book that she recommends someone that makes 40, 50 grand a year have $2 million in coverage. People ask me all the time, they're like, how much coverage should I have? They have a couple $100,000, and I tell them, I say, most of your neighbors have over $1 million, and that is true. This is term freaking insurance, man. You know, you're living in a $600,000 home, you each make 100 grand, and you have $300,000 in coverage. How long is that going to last? So, obviously, we're very limited in the amount of insurance we can have through Amazon if we work there. So, the max, it says, is $195 if you're 65 or older. So no matter how much you cared you were at the job, if you leave at 65 and try to port it over, it's going to be only $195. If you continue your supplemental life coverage, you may also port your spouse and child. Okay, so they're giving some maximums. Now look at here. Portable coverage reduces to 65% at age 65. So what if you do port it over, and now it is an individual policy? As soon as you hit age 65, it's going to reduce by 35% down to 65%. Then it terminates at age 70. So let's say that you leave at 48. At 65, the coverage goes down dramatically. At 70, it ends. Oh, and by the way, premiums may be higher than those paid by active employees. So we ask people all the time, if you found a better job, better pay, better commute, more advancement opportunities, would you take that position? Right? Yes. What would happen to your insurance? 1% of the time they say, well, I can take it with me. Yeah, but what happens when you take it with you? How much can you take? Sometimes the stipulations in a group policy is that it can only be ported over, it's only portable if it converts to a whole life policy. Is that a good idea? And yeah, it may be portable, but right now you're in a group benefit. When you go from group to individual, what happens to the rate? The contract clearly says it's going to go up. How much? So are there, Caleb, a lot of uncertainties here? Okay, when it comes to protecting our family, protecting our income, protecting our kids, protecting our dependents, do we want uncertainty or do we want absolute certainty? We want absolute certainty, right? Let's see if there's anything else. Okay, let's see, keep going down, see if there's anything else. Right? Now this is something we always show people because it's so cheap, the policies, when they try to compare against an individual policy. Obviously now we know why it's cheap, there's so many stipulations, right? But the point is that the cost of insurance in a group policy is rising. And now that I've been in the business 10 plus years, I've seen it before where someone who has group life insurance in their 50s, my term insurance policy was cheaper than what they're paying at their job. So it does go up over time. This is not a set cost that you're paying with your job. Okay, let's go to another document. All right. So this was this is for Sheila's brother-in-law. He has a Bright House Financial, which is MetLife. Let's go down here, right? So let's read some of this stuff. He has a $220,000 policy. He has an option B. So Tara, what does that mean? Huh? Who said that? Who said that? You don't think I know you know, man? You have a freaking Series 65 license. I know you know. You're good. Were you licensed before you came here? Okay. So right, you get to pay, if you pay more, right, you get to have both. So what is a universal life policy? It's, Lauren, it's an insurance plus what? Plus investment. Right? So people pay into the policy and the money goes in two different directions. So some, let's say that I'm paying $200 a month. Some of my premium goes towards what? Life insurance, right? And then some goes into this other thing that we call cash value, which is the investment. So if I have an option A, Richard, what does that mean?
You don't keep the cash value.
They keep the cash value. So if I die, they keep the cash value. So let's say that this is a $500,000 policy. I've accumulated $50,000 of my cash value. I die. In an option A, they'll only give me the $500. In an option B, they give me $550. Now, the way I look at this is that it's just an increasing term. Like she said, the cost of insurance is higher in this scenario, so they're just charging you more to give you more coverage over time. All right, let's see what else this says. You said that. Okay, so let's look at this. So he has cash value of 11,000. Let's go to this column. This is the latest one, right? 14,400, and the surrender charge is 630. Okay, so what is a surrender charge? Hold on a second. Let me look around and see what I can ask. All right, Jim, what's a surrender charge? Okay, good. Right. So if I surrender my policy, it means I'm canceling my policy, and if I cancel my policy within a certain number of years, they are going to charge me from my cash value. If the surrender charge exceeds what you have in your cash value, then Kelvin, how much do you get? Exactly. Right? So, this is a common thing. Let's say you get a statement. The cash value is $1,000. Surrender charge is $3,000. Client says, well, the charge is more than I have in there. Do I have to pay? No. It just means that you get zero. You never have to pay them on a surrender charge. Typically, how long does a surrender charge last in a VUL? Okay? Typically, 5-10 years, you're not getting anything back. Where did that money go, Lauren? Why is there zero money in the cash value? Where did it go? Cash value, this would be the death benefit. Because right now I pay $120 for $1.4 million. Right? And he's got $220. Now, deduction insurance. Now you see here, we have the cost of insurance charge. Some market performance. Policy loans, right? There's nothing there. There's no loan balance. Let's go down, okay? Now, when someone gets a statement for a universal life, this is what it's going to look like, okay? So what do we say to the client? Whether you use, in our presentation, it shows like a faucet, and it says that the water is going through, right? And when the water reaches the end, it gets dropped off, it pours into your cash value, but there's many dropouts, right, prior to getting to that cash value. So you have to pay other expenses. Like it says, you have to pay these mortality and expense charges, you have to pay premium expense charges, all these different things. So what we tell the client is, in a universal life policy, whether it's variable or indexed, whatever you send in, it gets split in two different directions. So let's say in the beginning, my life insurance cost for this $500,000 is $50. Let's forget about all the fees just to make the math easy. Let's say what's going in the cash value is $150. And what do we tell the client over time? The cost of insurance is getting higher, and what's going into your cash value is becoming less and less, right? And eventually, your whole payment is going towards the life insurance. Nothing is going into your cash value, okay? Now, when it flip-flops, and I have more going towards insurance than even what I'm sending, now they start to take the difference out of my cash value. When they start taking enough out of my cash value, what starts happening to the cash value? It gets depleted, and the policy lapses, all right? So when people get a statement, when someone has a universal life, when they get a statement, it's going to be broken down. So it's going to show them, you paid $150, we took this much out of the premium, we paid this much towards expenses, we paid this much towards the cost of insurance, this is what your policy earned, and then it shows this. What we're telling the client is that over time, this column is going to go higher and higher and higher and higher based on their age. So if they have multiple statements over the years, you can actually show them, look, your cost of insurance is getting higher, higher, higher. So yes, in a variable universal life, at least it is getting some market performance, but your performance is always being eroded by higher cost of insurance charges. Does that make sense? And so this is a really good thing to be able to read. Let's go down. Let's see if there's anything fine right here. This is something that I picked up when I was with Josh. He went to a friend of a friend's mom, and we sat down. And we sat down, she had a Northwestern Mutual whole life. Okay, so this is not universal, this is whole. So this document was so telling that I asked her if I could have a copy of it, and I took off her name and all that, so I've been using this to show clients. So let's read what it says. So they're giving tax information, right? I have total cash value of $87,000, and my cost basis is $88,000, right? So Jen, what does this mean right here? If you're reading this to the client, right, or you're reading this, what does that tell you? Okay. In the investment world, in the tax world, cost basis means what you put in, right? So what it's saying, Jessica, is that you put in $88,000, your cash value is $87,000. Now, if you have $87,000 in your freaking cash value, we know how hard it is to accumulate that amount of money into a whole life policy. I mean, they've had this thing for a while, and they are really funding it. Now you think about an investment like that, Caleb, where you put in almost $100,000, and what's your gain? Right? Because many people, like if you buy a whole life for, if you buy a $50,000 policy, $100,000 policy, a lot of times I don't even try to replace it if you understand that you're going to get substantial coverage outside of that, right? It's like, man, if you've had this for 10, 20 years, you're older now, do I really care? You don't really believe it. It's something you got a long time ago, and you didn't get it for an investment. You just got it because you wanted a funeral benefit forever. Okay, I still think it's a waste of money. I still think if it has cash value, take it out, whatever. But that's not a huge. I'm not going to do this long presentation over a $50,000 home life. Okay, if you are putting in $1,000 a month, like this person is putting in, you are buying this not for a death benefit. You're buying it as an investment. And how does your investment look, Mr. and Mrs. Client, if you are not even, you haven't even broken even yet after putting in $100,000 into it? And especially the times that we're in now, I mean, you look at the opportunity cost, these are good words too, right? What was your opportunity cost, Richard, if you could have put that, if they had invested that money with you $1,000 a month for the last 10 years, what would that money be right now? I mean, I was looking at it, 15-year averages right now are double digit. 5-year averages are almost 20%. 3-year averages are 15, 20%. The last year did 30%. And you're over here, you put 100 grand in something and you've just broken even. When the total loan equals the total cash value, the policy terminates. Okay? So what are they saying? They're saying that, yeah, you have money in there, yeah, you can borrow, but if you borrow too much of it, it's going to lapse. I found out that number is 92%. So if you borrow 92% of your cash value, the policy goes away. So is it your money? No. Annual premium, $12,000, right? Like I said, they're paying $1,000 a month. Hold on. When the total loans equal or exceed total cash value, the policy terminates without value and the entire taxable gain in the policy becomes taxable. Right? So right now, let's say they're even. If they stay in another 10 years, let's say there is a little bit of a taxable gain. And then they start borrowing the money, they do something like that, and the policy lapses, boom, 30, 40,000, you're going to incur of a taxable gain. This creates a situation in which the policy owner may owe tax without receiving any current cash distribution because the entire cash value is used to repay the loan. Okay, let's go down. Okay, loan repayments are paid from death benefits. So if you don't pay it back, your heirs are going to pay. So someone is going to pay back that loan. So it's not your money. You take some money out to buy a car, you take it out for your kid's college, you die, your wife is going to pay it from your benefit because it's not your money. Okay, you said that. Let's go. Hold on. Right? Loans increase the risk of policy termination. But that's funny, when they sold it to you, they said, hey, you have this cash value and you can use it for this, that, whatever. But in the paperwork here, it says, oh, but it could terminate your policy.
This is the actual word-for-word terminology of this lady's contract?
Yeah.
This is her contract?
This is it.
And no, well, never mind.
I just whited out her name at the top.
No, I know, but so when the person had the gall to sell her this policy, do they technically go through all this? Or they just say, here's the policy, it's a lot of gobbledygook, don't pay attention to the man behind the curtain?
What they say is that, you know, because a lot of smart people do buy these policies, and some of them do read it, and some of them do go to their agents and ask questions, and what the agents will say is that for your specific situation, this is a good idea. And again, we're talking about super long term. we're talking about, this is you know, when you're 60, 70, 80 years old, right now you're still in your 50s, don't worry about it, and they just delay the inevitable, you know? But most people, no, they have no idea it's going to pay for it. Let's see if there's anything else. Okay. The following message is required by insurance regulations of some states. The interest rates used to determine dividends on most whole life policies have decreased due to lower investment earnings. The expense charges used to determine dividends have also changed, right? The net impact of these changes will likely result in lower dividends for most policies compared to the dividends that would have been paid had these factors not changed. So basically, they present people with illustrations, and they say, look at these hypothetical dividends being paid, and this is how your policy cash value is going to grow and all that. And then here it's saying, by the way, by law, we do have to, in the back page, we have to tell you that the whole interest rate environment has changed, and that's going to affect our ability to pay the dividends that we may have showed you in the past. Go back up. I feel like there's one other thing that I was talking about. Here. Pay interest on loans in cash.
Oh.
Oh, that wig. Oh, there we go.
No.
Yeah, I get to switch from that.
Come on, Thomas.
Thomas, what'd you do? You broke a break or something?
What you doing back there, man?
Yeah.
Thomas,
No, this is Shed from
Oops. Same happening.
Wi-Fi is still on next door.
Guys, give me one minute.
When it was off, I need to like
Every office will have one emergency light that runs on each side.
No, but it wasn't on.
So always read through all the documents that people allow you to read through. Because the thing about presenting things to people that are from our iPad is they feel like we have an agenda. So you have to be good at reading their contract because you can't dispute what's in writing. Your agent can't dispute it, I can't dispute it, the company can't dispute it. If it's in your contract, then it's in your contract, right? And you gotta be good at reading that stuff. So first you read it, you don't understand it, then you maybe Google some things, you figure it out. Then you get better at reading it faster. Then when you look at a contract, you know exactly what page to go to. So I can figure contracts out very quickly. I know exactly where in the policy these things are. Let's go to another one. And Shaq's about ready, so I want to. There's another picture I sent you. Yeah, let's look at this one here. Okay. This is one of my clients as well. Death benefit option increasing, okay, so that means that the cash value is being given with the death benefit, so we're not going to use that argument that they don't get their cash value. And you can see here that cash surrender value, right? In year 5, I'm still paying $1,800 a year, my cash value is 0, right? So they got this at 36. They go in 10 years of paying $1,800 for no coverage. right? Young person, preferred, 10 years, they have 2,000. 20 years, they have 12,000. And then in 35 years, 34 years, it's back down to 0. And the policy basically lasts. And obviously it never hits the non-guaranteed. So based on the policy guarantees, what we can guarantee is that based on the way that you're paying your policy, it'll last until you're 33 years old. I mean, it'll last for 33 years, right? So we could give them a 35-year term, right? And I always tell people, because this policy, $200 for a 36-year-old, I mean, $200,000 for a 36-year-old, maybe, what, 40, 50 bucks, if that, 40 bucks, right? So we can save them 110 a month. So you're overpaying by 110 a month, and this is like my close for Universal, is if I was gonna have a policy that was gonna expire in 30 years and I was gonna get nothing back, why wouldn't I get a term for a quarter of the price, right? You're just paying for a very expensive term in this situation. Let's go to the next one. There's another picture that I sent you. This one is a funny one. Now this one, yeah, we can show this one. This is Northwestern Mutual. Whenever someone has a term from Northwestern Mutual, check, because many, many times it's an annual renewable. So let's look at what the annual renewable is, okay? By the way, Shaq, a lot of times people say, well, we have a column after 20 years that shows the schedule and the maximum, right? You can see that Northwestern Mutual has the same thing. So a lot of companies have this, but it usually doesn't reach the maximum. Usually it will stay with the schedule, right? Just like our company does. But you can see that there is a schedule to go up every single year. Right? So why do they do that? Because they want to give you a lot of coverage for a smaller cost, but it goes up exponentially over time, right? Now, our term, let's say we start a couple years later, yes, it'll be higher now, but this is what we're going to save you later on. So you're going to see that it's a little higher now, but it's going to stay level while theirs increased dramatically. This is a very dangerous policy to be in, because what if you got sick right here before you met me? Now you're stuck in an increasing term. All right? There's one more. I don't want to do this one. There was another one that showed the cash value table. Yeah, there is. Okay, so this is fun. I just take pictures of stuff while I'm at the kitchen table too. So no value for what, 10 years? So you pay into a policy, you're paying $100 a month. Isn't it funny how they always get these round numbers? Because they just want, they're doing it for their own commission, right? So it's an even 100, it's an even 200 a lot of times, so they just want their money, right? And so $100 a month, you can see that the death benefit is not growing, so this is an option A. So right away, hey, isn't it funny how you're putting all this money, they're saying it's an investment, but your family still only gets the same amount of money, which means they keep all your cash, right? Now look what happens here. 10 years, you have no cash value. After 10 years, you have $600. What if we bought term for, what, 20 bucks? This guy's in his 20s, right? We invested that $80 difference. How much would you have after 10 years? Maybe 10,000. Actually, way more. 17,000. I thought that was interesting for you guys, and you know, obviously, whatever I get to Tom is even. Actually, don't put those because I have to black out the names.
Okay.
Yeah, so don't make that my approach. Any questions about recent things you guys have seen in the field or heard? Any questions? All right, you're up to check.
All right, good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Everything all right? Able to shut down some places? Right? Bye. They lose power? Yeah, I lost power too.
kids are home from school.
I can't wait for this. It'll take him about 45 minutes. All right. Well, obviously, some new people here. We love some new people in terms of it's your first March. Okay, so Primerica is sometimes it is cyclical. There are bigger months than some other months. And, my record in premium as below RVP is 70 grand. Some of you guys were part of that, and we did 100 sales, and that was within 3 years for sure. I mean, we did 100 sales in 1 month, 70,000 in production. A lot of you guys, not a lot, but some of you guys were part of that. I remember like the first day of the month turned over, we were at 22 grand, and we were like one of the top of the company, and that was pretty awesome. And I'm saying like top of the company. My RVP was top of the company, and below RVP we were number 1. And March is the biggest month of the year. So March, October, November historically are the biggest months of the year. But March is, sometimes October, November, it depends on the weather, but March is the biggest month of the year. Okay. So when I see that, okay, obviously I'm competitive. I want to beat my last March. I want to do things that have never been done before. I want to see people growing their business and moving forward. But also, I want to make money. Right? I want you guys to have a big income for you. So you feel in your mind that you're worth more money than you're getting paid right now, especially at a job. I was on a call with Bruce the other day, and he goes, your income will never go up until your thinking goes up. He was talking specifically about, in terms of how that meant to me, was you will not become $1 million earner until you have $1 million thinking, until you act and believe and behave like $1 million earner. And, part of this game of Primerica, Jimmy Jam, and I'm not like this big, I'm a big goals person, but I'm not like this big why person. What I mean by that is, I am a big why person. I have some deep, dark whys of, proving people wrong, of being somebody, of walking the stage, and all that stuff, okay? And I'm not public about that stuff, but Christian David told me a long time ago, he said, who people who do well in Primerica? And I said, people who have goals. He goes, no. And I go, people that hate their job. He goes, no. He goes, who does well in Primerica? People that want to make a lot of money. They are money motivated. Now, Samir, you know what we have? And this can go either way. We are, and I shouldn't put this word before it, money comfortable. I am too. I'm not saying that. Some of you guys are really Bruce would always say that, at some of his trainings, back, in the day in fast start schools, he'd be like, you ever notice in other countries that you see 8, 9, 10 people living, and he'd say it literally like, and I remember this. And where I'm from, where my parents are from in Bangladesh, my dad's from a village, like a straight up village. There's a well, you pump water, there was one television. The biggest thing, and this is back in when I visit like 1995, 97, 98, as I go about every year, every other year, they'd get around on Sunday nights and watch X-Files, that was the thing. But in the city, right? This is like a real city, bigger than Los Angeles, bigger than New York. These cities over there, I don't know, how many people does LA have? 10 million? These are 50 million people cities. And the geography of it is like Virginia, North Carolina, South Carolina, 50 million people. And that's how overpopulated it is. It's crazy. It's just like people on top of people. You go there, you just like, wow. It's overwhelming. And you go, but you go and you see, and it's true, there's a hut and there's literally 10 people in a hut. It's like a little shed and there's 10 people living there. And they got little beds, like not bunk beds, like 4 bunk beds in a row. And Bruce would say this, and obviously, I guess other countries there could be a little more circumstance. But he'd say, people always get comfortable. He'd say, it's so funny, people always get comfortable. And it's not just people get comfortable at, obviously, like some people make $1 million or 1.2 or 1.5. People get comfortable making no money. And Bruce is big on this, just going and, sell the dream a little bit to yourself, right? Drive a test car. Do a test drive on a car that, some of you guys can't get, they ain't gonna let you drive your dream car. But go somewhere and maybe you can sit right? Go to a model home. Just go check it out if that's what you want to do. Go to a high-rise place. Just go look around, see what it is. Have a goal, right? Because you got to get yourself to do the nasty stuff in this business. And Samir's going over his training, and I mean it, like, when you start going through this stuff, and I know in a sick way, like, I know, because, like, I loved being a field trainer. Like, that was my favorite thing, is, like, taking a new recruit out in the field and just going and just wrecking shit all day long. Picking up a policy, closing business, recruiting people, getting the trainee to believe in you, getting them to district, getting them excited to set more appointments. Like, look, if you're not busy at night in March, you don't stand a chance. Okay? Now, we got to have a great daytime environment and all this stuff, but, when I see Samir go through this stuff, like, look, stop avoiding the kitchen table, man. You need to go out there, and if you think you're good, get even better. Go on 20 appointments this month and close 10 sales and, recruit 5 of your clients and get them to district leader, all this stuff, all packaged with becoming a great trainer. So, anyway, I'm not going to go into the March incentives yet because we don't have them. We'll learn a little bit more after the company announcements, which are today at noon. But obviously, Super Saturday's tomorrow, which we can't wait for. Right? Super Saturday's going to be great. We need to pack it out. On the first Saturday of every month, we do obviously kind of a celebration type Saturday. We recognize some people that have been promoted and people that have gotten licensed and our top producers, and you'll hear from some of the people that had breakout moments and other leaders in the office. So it's going to be an unbelievable event tomorrow. All right, we're going to have some fun with it. We're going to make a couple changes. I've already been thinking about some of the things. We have obviously a lot of people hit the board yesterday. On Thursday, we're going to do some special recognition for you guys tomorrow. Give you some cool stuff, and just come in with a great attitude, feel great. Clap for people, make people feel unbelievable. Obviously, we're not going to be breaking out orientation because we're just going to be unfiltered here. All right. So that's at 9:30 tomorrow. And if you got your team shirt, make sure you wear it, and you're going to have a lot of fun. All right. So I'm going to go over something that we've been working on for a little bit. Kind of refining, and there's no major changes to it, but we want to get this out to you so you can print this out. So did you touch on this, Samir, the ladder leadership? What did you say?
I said that someone had asked me for it, they wanted to put it on their fridge, and I just thought about, we grew up with that big poster that we used to have on our wall, and it was just everything to put that picture in their mind about how to get from the bottom of it.
Sometimes it's not that you're changing things to changing things. We don't change. I never change just to change, because that's stupid. But you do have to make adjustments, and you have to get better, right? I mean, the economy changes, the demographic changes, the laws change, the exams change, and so you have to change, right? And so when you make adjustments, it's not that, you know, oh, you know, I know sometimes it's always, oh, well, I like doing it this way, or I came up in this, you know, okay, I get that, you know, I mean, you know, but sometimes you gotta change too, all right? And I'm saying that for me, because I needed, you know, change as well. But one thing that we love, and Samir talked about this, is the ladder of leadership, right? Which, they used to have a brochure that used to buy, and we'd always buy it and we'd keep it off. And we had home offices when we first worked, because we didn't have an office. So in our houses, we always had this ladder of leadership, and we visualized where we were gonna be, right? And a lot of times, Ian, you know, people get stuck in Primerica, and it's very normal to get stuck, okay? And the biggest thing, Mike Sharp talks about, he goes, because they're not focused on getting promoted. They're not focused on getting promoted. You're always 30, 60, 90 days away from your next promotion if you not just make a decision, but you commit to the work and you trust the process and you go and build, right? So, you know, we're trying to refine things. And then also, you know what the biggest thing too, Shay, about changing with your promotions too, is the company changes and they give money. And you got to kind of take advantage of the money, right? Like if, as an RVP, when people get promoted by the numbers, they give you stock. So like, I don't know, what you know what it is for a rep?
It's like 1,000 premium, but they become licensed to 1,000.
And what do they give you, like $100? 125. What do they give you?
And they give you a little bit more if you grow, so it depends on if you grow.
Right. So like, say district leader is what? 250. And division leader might be like 400. And a regional leader is like 1,000. And an RVP, if we promote an RVP, right, you get 15,000, and they multiply it by your QBI, but 15,000, right? And not only that, Donald, they give you 15,000. Right, so if you rise up, right, and you freaking get promoted, they're giving you money. And so like the 15,000 that some people got, right, I don't know what it's worth now, right? It might be worth 25,000, it might be worth 30,000.
Dante got his, I think, at 44.
Right? So like when the company went public, I got, how much shares did I tell you I got? 2,500 shares, right? Because I was one of the senior leaders in the company, and I mean, a lot of people got a lot more than me. So $100 a share right now is $90 a share. But what's that math? I mean, it's pretty easy math, right? $100. I'm just going to do it. I've seen zero. $100 times 2,500 shares. That's 250 grand. Right? $250,000. Right? Real money. Invested in a company that can grow. Right? So anyways. Best part about our promotion guidelines, Lauren, right? Who promotes you? You do. I don't promote you. You promote yourself. Right? You promote you. That's not, when you want to get to work, you want to get busy. Even if I didn't like you, I'm not going to hold you back. I mean it. Now, that can be, you know, because you promote yourself, some of you guys don't want to get promoted. You're holding yourself back. So, the key here is district leader. Always remember that. All right? The key is district leader. We'll talk about how to get to district leader, some of the things that we're doing for district leader. So, right when you get licensed, you become a rep. You're at 25%. Okay? Now you write a sale, average sale, $1,500, whatever, $1,000 annually, you make $250, right? You do one recruit, $1,000 in premium, and you go to senior rep, which is 35%. So you do the same sale, you make $350. Now, if you do the normal district leader, you have to do 3 by 2,500 in a month, and you have to have what?
One district.
One, what does that say? No, I'm serious, I want you to, what does it say? To get to district. Right, because you gotta get to district, right? Right? And you gotta be, it's gotta, look, we do the top turnout all the time. Why, I tell you why I do it. I don't do it just because I want to bother people. If they're not district leader, I tell them to stand up. No, and they don't want to stand up. No, stand your freaking ass up. I want to see, some people, it bothers them. Like, it really bothers them. Like, it makes them freaking mad. Yeah, I got so many freaking sports stories about that, man. Like, I mean, I can go on for days about getting benched, letting someone play, they called a play for him at the end. Like, so mad. Like, you gotta have a little bit of ego to do well in this business. Like, okay, this dude, they're interviewing him on recruiting. What about me? What about me? What about me? You don't think I think that those things? Like, man, oh man, these guys sucked in the business. Now they're getting all this recognition. It's gotta bother you, man. So, one direct license, 3 by 2,500, you're a district leader. You're 50%. That means you can go out, on average, you're gonna make $500 a client. You get 2 clients a week, that's $1,000 a week. Now we're starting to make money. Now, what's the sprint? 3 by 6, pass your test, 30 days. What's the sprint? Get your first down. 1 by 1, first 10 days, schedule your exam. Right? And we're working on improving our fast start program too, but everything's about getting somebody off to a fast start. Now, so we made a change to division leader, okay? I know, I think Tara brought this up, which was a good point, which I actually didn't even think about. Width is the most important thing, okay? Always remember, width. Having more direct legs is the most important thing. You want to go to the next level? Get more directs. Don't keep working with your directs. Work with them, but don't get more direct. Get more direct recruiting. Get in the habit of always personally recruiting. Always getting wide. You can't hear it enough, Donald. Keep getting directs. Nobody's wide in this entire company. And the people that are wide, they make the most money. So, Tara brought up a good point that in order to get division, our last guideline, which we want to make it a little bit tougher, was you have to have 2 district leaders. But if you have 2 district leaders, then that means like every time, 100% of the time, you'll get a point. And I promise you, I never thought about that. Okay, that's a good point. So now what we're doing, okay, is you have to have 1 direct district and 2 other outside licenses. That's how you get to division. Okay, that is what? Preparing you, Kelvin, for your next promotion, which is regional leader. Okay, so regional leader, 5 recruits, 5,000 1 month, 1 direct district, 2 direct licenses. To get to regional leader, 10 by 7,500, right? 3 district leaders direct to you. 3, and another 2 licenses, right? It's not 8, right, Samir? So it's just 5 direct, like 3 of those districts count, okay? So like here, you're 3 license wide, 1 district. Here, you're 5 license wide, 3 districts. Everybody understand that? Right. That's what you have to do. If you don't have it, you shouldn't get promoted. You haven't done the guidelines. These are, I'm not trying to be funny, these are not hard guidelines. They're very doable. What holds people back? The width. They're not wide. They don't have anybody licensed showing up. And then RVP, 6 district leaders, 40 licensed people, 20 by 20,000. Now, look, for me, and I mean, you know, part of this is it's important, right? I mean, RVP is not going to save anybody. Okay, it's not. Being able to produce district leaders is going to save you. And just because you have a title doesn't make the work easier. It doesn't. Maybe for a month it feels great, but then it doesn't. You want to consistently do 20 by 20. I mean, at least a few months. I probably wouldn't do it 1 month. At least 3, 4, 5 months, and then go out. And then you can go out and you can be successful. And you gotta believe that, like I'm doing this training, I'm making a training, Thomas was helping me. Usually when and I don't do it a lot, but usually when I speak at Pastor School, I'll think of a different training every time, which is stupid. And I mean, the last couple of times I've gone up there, Calvin, I've really done a terrible job. Because I'm just not good off the cuff for that long. So now I'm actually making a training, right? And I'm using the whole trust the process thing that I used a couple months, and I like the theme, and I like some of the logos and the pictures, and now I can do it. And now I think I've done it 3 times now, and every time it's getting better, right? So we have, how many regional leaders do we have? 2? Anybody else? So we have 2 regional leaders, okay, and everybody thinks like this too on different levels, right? Everybody should want to get promoted, okay? And this should be all over everywhere, okay? I'm going to show my 1099 tomorrow. I'm not going to do it today, but I'm going to show it tomorrow and train. It's not that I didn't understand money motivation when I first started. Now money's the scoreboard, so it's all, it's all just about money, right? Not in a greedy way, but just, I want to make money. I want to grow my income. I'm driving out to Maryland every day, or not once a week, because I want to double my income, not because I want to make an extra $1,000 a month. I could save me $1,000. I want to double my freaking income. I want to go up by 25, 30% in the next 6 months. I want to give myself a 2 or 3 diamond raise in a year, right? But I didn't think like that, Jen, in the beginning. I was just trying to get out of hell, and I was just trying to rise up the ranks and be a freaking player. Like, be a producer. Be somebody that everybody respected, right? So when I talk about RVP, I'm going to talk to my regional leaders right now, but I'm talking to everybody else, okay? I'm not trying to scare you, but how and when you go is probably the most important decision you'll ever make. And if you F it up, you may not be able to recover. And you can talk to any of my RVPs, they'll tell you the same thing. And that's not to say that I'm not trying to scare you. What I'm trying to say is if you're good in the field and you can produce and you can make money as a regional leader, you'll be a great RVP. That's it. Now, there are different calls that we make at different times for people that move away or people that have moved back. There's a lot of different things and people's personal situations that it's time for you to promote. But if you do it right, off to financial independence. And that's next level for, don't worry about it. If you're Donald, don't worry about that. Lauren, don't worry about that. That's a little higher level. Okay? Jimmy Jam, you just got to go get the Rex and freaking training district and you'll be fine, right? I've never seen anybody, Shay, that had 6 district leaders active not being on RVP. I've never seen it. Most people, it's 1 or 2, or 2 or 3, or hey, this person's really good, and they try to sell you on it, and then it's 3 or 4 people. That's what it is, right? So, anyways, any questions about our ladder of leadership? And I know we're going to make a couple of changes to the logo, right?
Yeah, we're going to put a watermark in that. That's just, cosmetic things. But I also think maybe in the bottom right, in the white space, I can write with the past requirements on Sprinter District.
Tomorrow. Who won top turnout last Super Saturday? You win? How many did you have? You didn't have that many.
No.
How many? 6 or 7. What was the district? Did you win it, Donald?
Super Saturday,
How many did you win? 20? You won with 20?
I thought it was really low, like 14 to 16.
Oh, was that the one?
Yeah.
Like 13 or 12?
Yeah.
What did you win? You won with 20? You know the number, man. Say it. I know you know. How many do you have? Who won district? I know nobody cares about this. Because you don't care. You just want every month to be the same. You want everybody to make everybody feel really comfortable.
It would have been 30.
And Tara says she won for district. How many you gonna have? New guy. What's your name?
Caleb.
You coming tomorrow? Yeah, 4. Yeah, how many you gonna have? I know one person you will not have. And if I say it, you get scared if I say it. You know what I say? If I even say it, you get scared. How many do you have? Okay, so you have, this is, I'm just telling you. Right, let me kind of give. When you have a big month or a good month or a breakout month or a consistent month or a back-to-back month, or you got 2 people that have been licensed and they've gotten some sort of recognition that might take a basketball shot, you know their belief level is as high as it's ever going to be. And usually it only goes down. Building your meeting and getting people here, I know it's an inconvenience for everybody. It's the most important thing, is building a meeting. It's building a great environment and bringing people here and creating that team and thriving together and being excited together and, having, 3, 4 people and having a little row of 5 people and never ever getting tired of that. When people get tired of meetings in Primerica, their income and their environment and their attitude goes right in the freaking toilet. Meetings. You grow a meeting, hey, I'm locked. You get 50 people showing up, you're gonna have a 50 grand base job. You get 100 people showing up, you have an environment like this. I have 100 people showing up on Saturdays and, $30,000 to $40,000 a month passive income. I would be so freaking crazy about that. 30, 40,000 a month passive income. On my way to 100 grand a month. Insanity. Get people here. Some of you guys have people that work sales. You get people there to clap on your teammates, man. Don't expect the other people, right? You get your teammates say, hey, look at one of ours that came out of our system, our pedigree. They got promoted this month. One of ours is a breakout producer. It just creates that team element, man. It's going to be awesome tomorrow. I want the energy tomorrow to be unreal. I don't care what weather, whatever's happening. We're going to be inside. Hopefully all the weather will be good and, all of it will die down. And we're here tomorrow and we're going to be freaking lighting it up. And yes, you got to grow from last month. And yeah, we only have 12 of these a year and this is March. And we had a really good, strong last 2-3 days of February. So it's going to be a great environment and get a bunch of people here. A bunch. Have guests, pick them up, bring them out, text them all night Friday. And another thing too, we haven't had a class in a long time. We're serious about having a Sunday class. Go see Ricky right now. I think only 2 people have. I see Ricky right now. You can see me. I'm leaving in about 30 seconds. All right, but everybody, tomorrow. All right. Yeah, see me. I don't care. See me. See Ricky. Just make sure we get these people, and we can do it if we have 15 new people. We're going to have awesome incentives and get ready for March. All right, team up, everyone.